Hello, I'm Dave Bolton from GE. We're going to look at using the Small World Solutions to design an Fibre to the Home network. First of all, we're going to run through the process of what we're going to show in the software demonstration. We're going to start using some existing network. We're going to set our exchange locations, our manholes and our trenches, select our distribution and location points, or perhaps create some new ones, insert the demand points or customer addresses for the locations, identify a distribution network where we're going to deliver our fibre services from. We're either going to use some existing services or perhaps create some new ones. Create a service area, which in the small world terminology is going to be called a cell. And we're going to create the drops for the customer demand points. So either some trenching or some aerial drops for the customer premises. And insert the distribution tubes from the manholes to the demand points. And finally, we're going to place some cables. Using some of the tools in the small world set, we're going to automate some of these processes to speed up our design process. We're going to design a Fibre to the Home network for the cell that's in the centre of the screen. In the tab at the top here, the Fibre to the Home tab, we can see the progress of the design as we go through it. At the moment, we can see there's 0 premises connected to the network. In the map, you can see some small information flags that describe how we're going to deliver fibre to each of these customer premises. The top number being the fibres we're going to connect to the network. In this case, it's 1. And the bottom number, indicated by a 4, is going to be the size of the fibre cable. First of all, we'll connect the customer drops. So these are going to be the small pieces of trenching connecting the customer houses to the main network or the existing network. And they will generate a wall box represented by a small a. And inside the wall box, we'll put some customer terminating equipment. So here we can see we've got a sheath terminal created inside this box, indicated with an A. Also, you can see the trench here, which has got some existing tube network or conduits running through it. And the next phase is to create some new conduit network. We'll just let the tool design the conduit network. It also puts things in like the terminal, the conduit adapters, tube adapters, and connects the tubes ready for a blown fibre network. Once this process is completed, we've got a tube-ready network, and we can see that there's some new tubes being ready to create the fibres through, to blow the fibres through. Next, we create some cables. So let's have a look at the options here. We can see the fibre cables from our catalogue. We've got 2 types of 4-fibre cable, and we'll select one, press OK, and start the cabling. Traditionally, this is something that would have taken a long time for the engineers to draft on the screen, but as you can see here, the system is quickly joining and creating fibre network to all the premises. If I select this house that we had at the beginning, we can now see that not only is there terminating equipment in place, there's some fibre cable and also a slack loop of fibre, where they'll be able to pull this cable into the customer premise. Next point is to do the serving structure. In this case, it's a manhole. Inside the manhole, we can see our existing fibre cable that goes back to our exchange. And also we can see on the right-hand side all our new fibre cables that have been created as part of the design process so far. Now we need to connect these fibre cables together and splice them and create a splicing scheme for the engineers to use in the field. So we can say it's going to start on fibre number 2 if we know that fibre 1 needs to go on elsewhere in the network. We can tell it the scheme, how we're going to connect the fibres together, and finally the actual splice closure that we're going to use that will be from the catalogue for the engineers to take to the field to be able to splice these fibre cables together. So we'll run that. Process takes a few seconds, and again this is something that shows some real savings on the engineers having to actually go and create these fibres and create the fibre connections. So in the bottom right of the screen now we can see how all the fibre cables have been connected together at a cable level. So on the left hand side we can see our distribution fibre going back to our exchange. On the right hand side all the fibres doing the drops to the customer premise. Inside the splice closure itself we can have a detailed view, and we can see that the system has put in a new splitter, and the splitter itself has got the same fibres, and it made a scheme for us to be able to generate the fibres together, create the fibre connections. Now let's have a look at a set of the reports that can be generated by the tool to help us with our design process. First of all, we've got something called a cable pulling diagram, which is an engineering diagram of the locations the engineers need to visit, the tubes they're going to need to actually go and pressurise and blow the cables through. We also get a bill of materials. So here we can see it's just simply output into a HTML report, and we can see all the costs of the individual items that the system has generated for us, all the different elements, and for example we can see the different prices for the cables, which is done on the meterage, and individual items such as the splice closures that are going into the properties. Finally, we get a design work instruction, which is a big Word document in this case, which shows the installation instructions for every item generated as part of the design. In the demonstration, we've seen how the Fibre to the Home tools from SmallWorld can increase the productivity of your design engineers. Also, we generated some key reports for the field users to use for when building the network. Thanks for watching.